Hi, this is Shotgun Tom Kelly, and now that I have your attention, you wanted to be close to him in the dugout during his impressive 15-year Major League career because he was always watching, listening, and looking for an edge. Now, Kurt Bavacqua brings that edge to Dirty Kurt's Dugout, where you can listen, watch, and be a part of the most honest, informative baseball show available today. Now, here's Kurt.
We are with you. As you can see, a sporting music movement, a brand new music movement golf hat, where I just returned from playing in their yearly celebrity golf tournament. I'd like to thank all of those people involved in that event. It was a great time up in Dana Point at Monarch Beach Resort and Golf Links. Wow, what a beautiful place. It really, really was. Thank you to Cindy and Tony out at Hacienda for their continued support of us here on this show. Hacienda Casablanca, North Johnson, 700 to be exact. If you are headed out to eat tonight and you haven't picked out your spot, go by. Tell Cindy and Tony that KB and Joe sent you. And also our good buddy down at your neighborhood Chevron's dealers in the Kearney Mesa area, Lacima Oil and Tom Drake. Go to the station I go to all the time on Balboa and Genesee, right on the corner. As cheap as you're going to get anywhere else. Yeah, it is. All right, probably going to have somewhat of a sped up show today because we got some stuff going on this weekend. I'll get to that in a minute, but it's not just the Padres against Chicago White Sox. Probably one of the biggest series in the year is taking place. And like I said, I will get to that in a minute. But let's assume the Padres are going to make it into the wild card game. Not game. Sorry. Wild card series. It's 3-game series this year. It's not a 1-game wild card. Blow it and you're gone kind of deal. So it's best out of 3, 2 out of 3. But the thing that I don't like about it is that all the games for the wild card team are going to be away. I don't agree with that. And I know you're saying, well, it's because it's the Padres. No, not necessarily. I just don't like it. So whatever the outcome is of the biggest series of the year that's taking place down in Atlanta against the Braves and the Mets. Right now, the Mets have a 1-game lead over the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. If you have been following the standings all year, you know that the Mets have had as much as 10-game lead in the National League East. Well, it's not 10 games anymore. They're not scuffling to get into the postseason, but they're scuffling to win the division. And boy, a lot of stuff rides on it. I mean, it really does. What I just got through talking about. Whatever team loses that division, they're going to be the team that is put up against, or not put up against, but that will play the San Diego Padres. Because the Padres are going to finish in the 5th seed, and they're going to end up playing the 4th seed, which is going to be the team that loses the National League East. the team that wins the National League East is going to play the 6th seed, which looks to be the Philadelphia Phillies. Although, if you remember last week, I said, I don't expect San Diego Padres to make the playoffs. As big a favorite as they were going into the 2022 season, it's gotten too bad. It's just gotten ugly at times. I'm going to get into these comments here and take a look because I didn't get it up. Let's hope the Mets win the East. If the Mets win the East, then it's going to be the Padres against the Braves. Braves are playing some pretty good baseball, even though the last couple of games, they've been down a little bit. The big thing about the Padres finishing in the 5th seed is it puts them in the bracket with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And as you saw the last 3 days, the Padres still haven't learned how to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. So let's assume that they get by the Braves, which, again, I don't think they're going to, but we will see. Surprise me, please. Surprise me. Like I said, the team they play is going to be decided in what I look at as the biggest series of the year. This weekend, and I might have said earlier, and I have to pull that back, rewind it. I might have said that Atlanta was playing. They are playing down in Atlanta. The Padres, on the other hand, if they get matched up against the New York Mets, they're going to have to go to New York and play. If they play the Braves, they have to go to Atlanta and play, regardless of what city they play in, what team they play. They're going to play all 3 games, if needed, in their stadium. No home field advantage whatsoever, even with 1 game. Let me tell you what the Padres cannot do once game 163 starts. Kim cannot lead off. Manaea cannot pitch. Start. He cannot start. Put him in the bullpen. If you want to have a bullpen game somewhere in there, bullpen games work sometimes. You might be able to put Sean Manaea in there for a couple of innings. I don't trust him on the mound right now, throwing for a ball club that I would manage. And Brandon Dixon cannot by any means play ahead of Will Myers in any playoff game, or Josh Bell for that matter. Just can't do it. If you're wondering who Brandon Dixon is, he was a guy that was just brought up from the El Paso Chihuahuas, has been in the Padres minor league system this year. They scraped him off the garbage barrel out of the Korean league, the Japanese league, Nippon professional league. It was crazy when all of us saw the lineup. And I get Bob Melvin throwing out there, got to get him into the fire as soon as possible. He's swinging a hot bat and El Paso. I don't give a rat's behind how you're hitting in El Paso. This is the big leagues. You're going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers, presumably the best team in baseball. You're fighting for a playoff spot still, even though the other 2 teams that you're fighting with, they're giving it to them. They're earning also. I mean, they played good up until these last couple of games with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but you have to learn how to win those games. And the Padres haven't done it yet. Let me tell you one other thing, Mr. Melvin. If you're the one calling it, there's going to come a time where one of your great pitchers is going to go out there and throw up all zeros. And who's ever throwing for the opposition is also going to throw up a lot of zeros. I'm not making a prediction here on any given game, but if it gets down to you needing a run, don't put a safety or a squeeze play on when the hitter already has a strike, especially if it's Trent Grisham. He's supposed to be the best bunter on the team. But if he fouls off an 0-1 pitch, and as you know, pitchers mess around with 0-1 pitches. They're way ahead in the count at that time. They might throw anything. And if he fouls off the ball, he's too deep in the count to recover from it, especially if it's a pinch hitter. You pinch hit a guy, the first pitch to him is a fastball down the middle, and he's taking it because of the game situation. Shouldn't be taking it anyway. And then you put on a squeeze play. It's not a good call. Absolutely not a good call. So call me, guys. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to the game on Tuesday. And I'm going to be watching. Today's lineup, I would assume, Yu Darvish is pitching. They got Grisham back in center field for whatever reason, I don't know. I'm going to put the kid out there. Austin Nola's behind the plate again. Kim is at shortstop. Josh Bell. For them to throw Dixon into the lineup, have him go 0 for 4, and then yank him out of the lineup right away, it is asinine. It really is. It's asinine to put that much pressure on that kid who has been a 10, 11-year minor league player, has been released multiple times. He was drafted originally by the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 3rd round, I think. And he's struggled ever since. I don't know what the ball club's thinking of, pulling him out of the minor league system. El Paso's a hitter's ballpark. A guy that's been around for 10 years and has played in all of the leagues that this kid has and has been over to Japan to play. He's seen it all. So what? He hit 360. Austin Hedges hit 360. You remember that guy? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. His team's in the playoffs. All right. I promised you I was going to bring this back because we had some video last week. And instead of going with video, we're going to go with stills of this play that happened last week. And I'm afraid that stuff like this will happen in the postseason. And if it does, Major League Baseball is not ready for it, as you will see. Nick Senzel's playing third base for the Cincinnati Reds. Andrew Kisner is the runner at third. He's taking his normal lead off of third base. And the hitter hits a ball to the right of Senzel, who makes a nice play. You can see right here what Kisner's doing. What he's doing is that he's looking back to see where Senzel caught the ball. Now, you can see how close he is to the Cardinal third base coach. He is at least 2 to 3 feet in foul territory right now, where he is. Now let's look at this next still. Look where he is. He started out only a couple of feet from where the third base coach is right now. He veered into fair territory, knowing that the runner, that he as the runner, would get in the way of the third baseman's throw to home. And as we can see, it worked, because this shows the ball just about to go off of Kisner's arm. That play was not reviewable. That play has to be reviewable in the postseason, because you don't want somebody. That was a walk-off. Walk-off. Cardinals win. We can't have that happening at the major league level. You cannot have that happening. One other thing, I mean, they're not going to do this. They're not going to change these rules and make that call reviewable so the umpires can get together and make a decision that Kisner intentionally went out of the way to get into the way of the throw and cause the third baseman to not have a lane to throw the ball home, which was very obvious. The other thing that needs to happen is a 3-challenge rule, 3 challenges on balls and strikes. 3 challenges after the 7th inning. You can have 3 challenges. If you use a challenge before the 7th inning, then it's worth 2. So let's say the 6th inning rolls around. We have the bases loaded. Your team. Your number 4 guy is up. 2-2 count. Umpire misses the call and calls a ball that's a little bit outside. Doesn't have to be a lot. A little bit outside. A strike. Really doesn't matter how many outs there are. It would matter most if there were 2, but it doesn't matter. The hitter tells the manager, ball's not a strike. They have to review that. It would take 30 seconds. They review it. A ball is called. The hitter is back up at the plate with a 3-2 count instead of being on the bench with the bases loaded and either out of the inning or with two outs or even 1 out. Naturally, you have 3 of those. 3 of those also on the pitching side of things. So if a pitcher or catcher thinks that it was a strike and the umpire called it a ball, they can call for a replay. I heard people complaining about the Yes Network not having the box up for one of the games a couple of days ago that Aaron Judge was going for home run number 61. And I would imagine that the reasoning behind it was that they were trying to protect the umpire, just in case something crazy happened. And it happened anyway. And he makes a bad call, and some crazy person out there threatens him or whatever the deal was. But I believe that that's the reason that they took the box away from Aaron Judge while he was at the plate. They gave it to all the other hitters, but they took it away for Aaron Judge. I think that umpire did a heck of a job that night calling balls and strikes against Aaron Judge. But there were some people that thought he called strike 3 on him on a couple of occasions when it was actually a ball. If the boxes would have been up, it might have been better off. They might have been better off doing it that way. But we'll never know. Going back 20 years, because that's the way it used to be. So those two rules, remember, it wasn't reviewable. They couldn't review it. It was a walk-off. Bang. The game is over. And the guy intentionally ran in a base path. Inside, you can see how far he was inside. That shouldn't be able to happen. And an umpire missing a call when the game is on the line, you know what, folks? These guys are going to miss calls. Joe West told me something very intriguing one time. At least it surprised me, because he said there's nobody on the field that wants to get it right more than the umpires do. You know, I had my problems with the umpires at times. I learned to love them, but there were times where you would swear that these guys were going against a certain player or a certain team just because of the calls that they made. But I look back on those situations and it's just not happening. Joe West has become a good friend, and I can always rely on to call him in a given situation, like I did with this base running thing. And he said that play needs to be reviewable. It puts too much pressure on the umpires, and it makes it, there's too much talk. There's too much chatter going on in the game right now. And it takes it all away. Because if you reverse a call, you've reversed a mistake. There are still some calls where it has to be discernitive that the call went the way the umpire said. And if it didn't, then they reverse it. There have been a few calls where it's just been borderline and they couldn't overrule it. If you're the home team, you think he was right or wrong. If you're the visiting team, you think the opposite way. So Jesse's been commenting on quite a few things, and you know what? He kind of just hit the nail on the head with, and I'm not saying for everybody out there, but there has been a lot of disrespect for umpires in social media in the younger generation, because I know who a lot of these Twitter people are, and people on Facebook that are making comments about the umpires, especially guys that they never saw an umpire for 25 years until the last year or so, and they're saying how bad that they are before they retire. So it's there is a lot of disrespect with umpires, and there is a lot of pounding with umpires when they have had some bad calls, and an umpire is going to miss if an umpire misses 10 to 13 calls a night out of 175 pitches, 180 pitches, that's considered a decent night. But if 2 or 3 of those pitchers are at a key time in the game number 70 in Oakland against the A's playing the Pirates, doesn't mean anything. It means something to those two teams and those two players that were involved. But just remember what Joe West said. We want to get it right. If they want to get it right, let them review it. All right. Let me tell you what I believe is the biggest disappointment of the year. I know a lot of people that are in San Diego probably think I'm going to say the Padres, but that's far from the truth. That's far from the truth. The Texas Rangers spent in excess of $500 million on Corey Seager, John Gray, Marcus Semien, and Cole Calhoun. And they're at 66 wins entering the game tonight. They were supposed to win their division. They're not going to lose 100, but a couple of teams already have. The Washington Nationals and the Oakland A's, yeah. The same A's that brought in all the analytics to the game today. The Reds and the Pirates are dangerously close to 100 losses, both of them at 97. But the grand prize, at least in my mind, you might object, goes to the Texas Rangers. That's crazy, crazy numbers. All right, let's take a look and see what's going to go on come postseason, because it's almost all figured out. It's almost all figured out. So let's take a look at the standings, see what we're going to do as far as making arrangements to go to games. As you can see, the Houston Astros are leading it all with 102 wins, followed by the New York Yankees. That a lot of people probably would have never thought that Houston was going to end up with more wins than the Yankees, but Houston's going to go all the way. Houston's going to win the World Series, at least I think so, this year. And right now, they're the number 1 seed. The Yankees are the number 2 seed. And the team that nobody wants to play right now, and they are going to play the number 6 seed, are the Cleveland Guardians. And the number 6 seed, where's the wild card standings in there, Joe? There we go. As it stands right now, and it's probably not going to be this way come Sunday, but the Tampa Bay Rays would be playing the Cleveland Guardians. And the Seattle Mariners would be up against the Toronto Blue Jays. As you can see, these 3 teams are really, really close to one another. It's going to be interesting, especially due to the fact that Tampa Bay plays Houston for the next 3 days. I don't know how that's going to go. I really don't, because they play each other tight. But if I was a betting man, I would say that Tampa Bay is going to come out of the next 3 games either tied, a game up, or a game down on the Seattle Mariners. And it's all according what Seattle does. If Seattle goes out and wins 3 games in a row, and you got Tampa Bay playing Houston, wow, that's going to be interesting stuff. And then you got Toronto. They've got to continue to win at least 3 or 4. If they're going to clinch that top spot. and have home field advantage against the number 5 seed if they win 4 games. I don't think anybody's going to pick up the games that need to be picked up on them. So I think the American League is going to be interesting, but I am so excited about what's going on in the National League, especially this weekend down in Atlanta with the Mets being down there. Only one game that separates those two teams. You can see up at the top there, the New York Mets with 98 wins have a 1-game lead over the Atlanta Braves. They are down in Atlanta playing a 3-game series as we speak. Nah, not quite. Game's about to start. Max Fried on the mound for the Braves against Jacob deGrom for the New York Mets. And Judy O'Day says, go Braves. There's a lot of Braves fans down in the southeast part of the United States. And then you've got the Cardinals, who are going to be playing the 6th seed in the National League. Los Angeles. The National League West this year, it wasn't even any fun. I mean, it really wasn't. The Dodgers just pounded everybody, and it wasn't any fun. But you know what? That non-fun is going to be over in a couple of days because the postseason begins, and it's a whole new ballgame, folks. It's a whole new ballgame. So there you've got it. Hard to believe that the Braves have a 13-game lead for the wild card spot. So the Braves are going to host the San Diego Padres if things finish right now, right today. Because they're going to be 4 and 5. The Braves got the number 4 seed, and the San Diego Padres have number 5, and the Philadelphia Phillies with the Milwaukee Brewers right on their heels. I never thought that was going to happen, but did you see the game Milwaukee lost yesterday? I mean, are you kidding me or something? They're winning 2-0 in the 8th inning. They had not smelled anything off the Miami Marlins. And some kid for the Marlins hits a grand slam home run, and they lose the game 4-2. They'd be tied right now with the Philadelphia Phillies for the last wild card spot, which would have made things really exciting for all the people in Philadelphia and Milwaukee, and really made the next 6 games for those two teams really, really mean something. I mean, they mean something for the San Diego Padres, but I think the San Diego Padres are going to be where they are, although I'd rather see them number 6. They're going to be in the 5th spot, and they're going to play either the New York Mets or the Atlanta Braves as it stands right now. Remember, Braves are 1 game back. So a lot of different scenarios can go on down in Atlanta this weekend. We might bring you a special show next week, early in the week, because naturally we want to keep you updated, want to see what's going on. And things might not yet be figured out. So we'll see. We might come on and be with you on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll talk to Joe about it, see if we can maybe schedule a show. And going into the weekend, the Fall League has started over in Arizona. I'm going to make a quick trip over there to see a couple of players and a couple of teams. So I'm going to be gone the latter part of that week, next week. So maybe we can throw a couple of shows at you before we go, or I'll do a show from over there. I'm just looking at all the comments that came in, and I appreciate it. I love the insight from a lot of people, and I feel bad for some of you out there that have been priced out of some of these games. I understand. We've all been priced out of everything. So it's not just baseball. I got priced out of filling my tank up with gas the other day, Jim. I went in, put $75 in my tank, and I didn't get half a tank of gas. I was expecting more, but I was kind of in a hurry. You know, I had 10 or 15 more dollars to put in. Didn't do it. Unbelievable. That's the way it is. I appreciate all the comments from Jesse. Judy, go Braves. I got you. I'm gonna be watching. You know what? I'm probably gonna be watching that Braves and Mets series more than I'm gonna be watching the Padres and the Chicago White Sox. And Bob Melvin, remember what I said. Please. It's not about lefty against righty, righty against lefty. Putting a pinch hitter in for a guy. And give Will Myers some more credit than you do. He needs more credit than you're giving him. I don't think Bob Melvin likes Will Myers that much. Unfortunate to say, but that's what I feel, and that's what I'm going to say. So there. For everybody out there that's a baseball fan, I wish you all the luck in the world in the next coming days, because I know there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be decided. If you're rooting for a certain team, I hope they make it for you. And let's just see what the next few days brings us. I am excited about it. I really am, especially to look at the games down at Trust Stadium in Georgia. And we're thinking about you, people in Florida and South Carolina, and everybody that's been affected by the hurricane. Our thoughts are with you. Prayers. Stay safe, and you'll get through it. I promise. I got through a bunch of them myself. We'll see you next week. And until then, this is Kurt Bavacqua. And good idea, Joe. Thank goodness I got Joe. Thank you to Tony and Cindy at Hacienda. And if you're in that area and you want to watch a game, it's a good place to watch a game. Hacienda Casablanca, 700 North Johnson in El Cajon. Tell them we sent you. Tell them Joe sent you first and I sent you second because of this last message, because I might have went off and forgotten. And Tom Drake down at Lacima Oil in your neighborhood Chevron station, Balboa Avenue in Genesee. That's my favorite. That's where I go to get gas. And we appreciate that. Tom needs your business. He just moved into a big new house in Scripps Ranch. So there. He's doing okay. Trust me. Until next week. Goodbye, everybody. It's Dirty Kurt saying goodbye from Dirty Kurt's Dugout.